Stage 2, we're going to move on and start learning about, well, like, how do we actually put text on the surface? Let's say we want to laser etch that out or something, or maybe we want to cut out the actual letter. So we're going to learn some of these basic things here about messing around with text. So get your file back open. Follow along with me here. Click the text tool, the type tool. In the left here, I click the big T. And now here's something that's really important is I'm going to left click and drag the approximate size. It doesn't have to be super precise. You can change this later. The approximate size of where I want to put my text. And then I'm going to type right away what I want to be in there. So make sure you go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to highlight what I typed there. So now notice how small that is. That is less than 1 inch big. So that'd be tiny. So we need to adjust the size of this. So I highlighted what I wanted to adjust. And now here I can adjust my font size. And I can click the arrow. I can just hold it down. That's going to take a long time. So instead of holding it down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in my number. Let's say I want to try 200. Okay, we're getting pretty close. And let's try 250. Boom, boom, boom. All right, let's say I'm happy with that. Okay, I'm happy with the size, but let's say I'm not happy with the font. Like, oh, I don't really like that font. So here's how you change the font. You click this drop-down arrow where it says Myriad Pro. I'm going to click the drop-down arrow, and then we can try some different fonts. Like, okay, I wonder if I like that one. That one's okay. And oh, let's keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Oh my gosh, that one. It's amazing. Keep going. That one's decent. Oh, let's say, oh, yeah. Okay, this is the one. I left click it, and there is my my new font. Can of course change that later. There's some other settings here. If you have, let's say you have a paragraph or a saying or a quote, if you want to adjust your letters to be like tighter or have less space between the lines, there's some other adjustments you could do here as well. I'm not going to show you that right now though. So now, let's say I'm done with that. So I'm going to click my arrow here, and let's say I'm happy with this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten this box up to be more around the size of my words here, my letters. And let's say I want this like perfectly centered, up and down and left and right. Let's say I just eyeball it. Oh, I think that's good enough. No, you should have attention to detail. Get this stuff like perfectly lined up. So one way you could do it, you could count your boxes. There's 9 on the left. There's 10 on the left, right, whatever. You can count your boxes up and down too, but like, no. Use the program to assist you and make your life easier. So notice these symbols down here. Is you can actually click these to center your stuff. So let's say I want this centered left and right. So I click this horizontal align center. Boom. Well, you didn't see it move. I guess I had it pretty good. So I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to click here. Boom. You do the same. So get it aligned horizontally. And then I'm also going to align it vertically. Boom. If maybe you don't want it there, maybe you want it higher up or whatever, that's fine. But then now I'm going to re-click horizontal, boom. So if that's all you need, bang, bang, right there, you are good to go. But let's say you want some other stuff here. Let's say you want, like, okay, so what this would do, what I have right now, if I sent that to the laser, it would etch out the letters on the piece of wood like this. It would like kind of burn it into the wood. Let's say I didn't want to do that. Let's say I wanted to use plexiglass and I wanted to cut out the letters because then later I'm going to glue them onto something. So here's how you do that. On this right side, I'm going to turn stroke on. I'm just going to put it as black. Notice right now it's on 1 point. That's what PT stands for in this program, point. It's kind of like a size unit. I'm going to change the fill to nothing. I don't want any kind of fill for right now. And notice I can change the thickness of that line. So actually, let me back up a second here. If you wanted the letters hollow and you wanted the outside, just the outline etched, you could do it this way too. So you just turn your fill off, and then you can turn your stroke up, and then it would etch just these outside layers. Heads up too. depending on what you're designing, you can of course fill in a different color as well. If I'm laser etching, usually we don't want to do that because it doesn't really etch. It doesn't etch color. It does like a grayscale kind of thing. But anyway, right now I'm going to turn this fill off. So you do the same. Play around with your words a little bit here. And let's pretend that I want these letters to be cut out. So now I'm going to change this to 0.001. 0.001. I press enter and look at how thin those lines are now. I'm going to zoom in. So I press Control plus to zoom in and notice how thin those lines are. What that does is that tells the laser, it says, hey laser, I want you to cut out these lines. So if the laser sees anything other than 0.001, if it sees, like, so say, for example, I'm gonna go back to, like, let's say something thick like that, the laser would not cut that out. The laser's like, oh, I'm supposed to etch that. So, but if I go back down to 0.001, 0.001, boom. Now the laser will cut out those letters and they'll be separate, and then I can like glue them onto something. Now, if you're laser cutting something out, then I'm going to want to align this on the upper left corner just so I'm not wasting all kinds of empty space. So just keep that in mind. If you're cutting shapes out, you want to kind of compress them and put them together so we're not wasting stuff. But anyway, let's pretend that I'm not cutting that out just so I can go back to seeing this easier. I'm going to recenter this. Now, let's say I'm ready to print this. So one thing that's going to help me out when you, again, so I don't want you, do not put anything in the laser without me like seeing what you're putting in there. Do not start it, do not run it until you have permission. You've shown me your file, that kind of stuff. Something you can do that will help me out now is getting your printer settings set up. So if you, so let's go to File, let's go Print. It's going to bring up a window. I need to change this where it says printer. I need to change this to Epilogue Helix. MS112 Epilogue Helix 24. I left click that. I'm going to uncheck. So now here's some really important stuff that's going to save us some time. Uncheck auto rotate. You need to uncheck that. Where it says placement, you have this grid here. Click the upper left. And when you go to setup, click continue. On Epilogue Helix 24, click preferences and then help confirm some settings. Horizontal should be 24. That might not be the size of your project, that's okay, but we're gonna say that's the size of the laser. So the horizontal is 24. The vertical, we're gonna say is 18. Job type, combined. Raster setting, that means etching. We're gonna leave the power at 100%, the speed 70%. So make sure you're at that. Vector setting means cutting through. Frequency is going to be all the way up at 5,000. Power is going to be all the way up at 100%. Speed, we want at like 7 or 8%. Most of the time, that's what we want our speed at. Autofocus needs to be on. So your settings should look like this. So make sure that'll help me out if you confirm your settings are like this. Do not click print yet until I've seen your actual file. So just heads up on that. And the laser needs to be on in order for you to send the file to the printer, to the laser as well. Last thing for stage 2, let's save it. Click File, click Save. Because you've already saved this, you should just be able to click File, Save. And again, it will save in your OneDrive and you'll be able to access it from multiple computers. So congratulations, you have finished stage 2.